Season 2 of Is This Okay? The show where we dive into boundaries, relationships, and consent. And today, we're diving into real talk about relationships, consent, and sex. If anything we discuss stirs up feelings, reach out to someone who can help, like a counselor, a trusted adult. We're here to level up our knowledge about these topics. So let's keep the chat focused on learning and not share personal stories, to keep everyone safe and respected. Affirmative consent is the golden rule of any respectful relationship. It means everyone is fully on the same page and 100% down with what's happening. And remember, here in Victoria, it's clear as day. You need a yes, a nod, or some sort of agreement before anything intimate goes down. No guessing games. Always check in, never assume, and let's keep it real and respectful. We're almost there. Are you ready for season 2 of Is This Okay? 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Hello.
Thanks, Red Knight. First hurdle averted. We were just saying hello to all of you in the chat. Red Knight Crusade and hello. Peach is in. Cass, you're a fan of Peach.
What's up, Peach?
Awesome. We got Phil in there as well. And we've also got people streaming in here to the studio. Hey, if you don't know who we are, if you're not a VIP here or somebody that hangs out in the chat often, we are the Man Cave, a preventive mental health organisation that equips the next generation with tools to better their mental health, connect deeper to themselves and to each other, and then of course allow them to be who they want to be in their own respective community. And here today, it's a really exciting episode. It's Is This Okay? Where we explore relationships, how to have respectful ones, yes, sex and consent, and how it can empower you to be an awesome partner, but also be an ally for people in moments of, going to the next stage of life and growing up. And thank God, I am here to explore that conversation with some epic organizations. And what I'm going to do, chat, is I'm going to throw it to them now. They're going to introduce themselves, where they're from, what they do, and then a little bit of a check-in. And just because this is a bit more casual and we're going to be getting into Is This Okay and what it truly is all about, I'm going to invite you to check in as well. And Andrew, my classic, is in the chat. He's going to be responding to you also. And this is just so we jump in, we check in, and we can get into the awesome stuff we're here to talk about. Great, get it, got it, good. I'm going to throw it to Max as always first. Hey, a little round of applause for Max inside the studio as well. Thank you. Big fan.
Little Max.
What a warm welcome. Thank you, everyone. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you again if you were in last week's ep. So my name is Max. My pronouns are he, him, and I come from an all called -18. We're Australia's largest charity supporting LGBTQI+ young people. You might think, how do we do that? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Laugh, please. Thanks, team. We run events for LGBTQI+ youth. We run educational workshops around queer inclusion and many other things. But I'm really excited to be back for the final episode of Is This Okay? Checking in. I just feel really excited and grateful to be in this space, to be back again with those who were in last week's episode, but also to meet some new friends and have some chats. Yeah, really, really keen. So Max checked in. Awesome.
Nice. Hi everyone, I'm Cass. I'm from Elephant Ed. I am really glad to be back for a second week, week after week. But Elephant Ed, we are a sex education organisation. So we travel all across Australia speaking to thousands of young people about sex, relationships, consent, and how to be a good person, a good partner, a good friend, a good peer, all of those things. So I'm really excited to be here today, checking in, feeling good, feeling really good. This couch is so comfy, so I'm feeling really at ease, really at home, and keen to get into it. Cass checked in.
Awesome. Suze?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Susie. I'm a proud Wiradjuri woman from Central West New South Wales, but I actually live on the beautiful Wanneroo country north of Sydney, and want to take the chance now to also acknowledge the land that we're on now today, the land of the Wurundjeri people. And I'm here representing a mentoring, which is, we do a lot. My role within AIM is in the System Change Studio as what we call a shepherd, and I get to work with people around the world who are working on system change projects. But we also do a lot, so we go into schools, we work with young people in mentoring. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Over to this guy.
Lady!
It's a big joke.
Like, who am I? I'm just a guy with a lot of different jobs. There's a few. Thank you. I work at the big children's hospital in Melbourne, which I'm not allowed to talk about, and I work with kids that are very sick and with rare illnesses. I also work with a government department, not allowed to talk about which one, which goes to schools, wink, and I do a lot of sex ed, drug and alcohol consent workshops. Work with I think nearly 4,000 kids now, which is sick. And then I also work here at the cave. So I started January this year, and I get the opportunity to go to schools and actually bring a bit of my nursing background onto the court, which I love. So that's me. My check-in, man, I woke up early this morning, like 4 o'clock, started work early, but I feel good, feel like I've got some energy. And I'm so keen for this because I've actually got so many experts around me, and normally I'm on my own doing my expert thing. So can't wait to work with everyone.
Love that. Yeah. What a dynamic and diverse bunch we have here on the couch. I just want to say how awesome it is to see, Phil, Bo, some other people in the chat, Johnny as well, just saying hello to Cass and the team and saying how awesome it is to meet everyone. And I'll echo that again. Hey, a chance for you to check in where you're at and how are you feeling about it in the chat. So we're here, as we keep saying, to talk about respect, relationships, and of course that buzzword consent. So I'm just going to put down what this whole exploration looks like and how you can get involved. Number one, this conversation we're having is so freaking important. It's such an important conversation to have, and it's so valuable for you to tune in and listen into. Now, the way that we want to invite you into the conversation is for you to ask questions if you want, add to it, maybe share your thoughts or your learnings, but we're going to really encourage for you to share your own stories. Now, why is it okay for us to do that and not you? Well, it's because you're on the other side of the screen. And if you share something and we can't be there for you, that's not how we want to do business here at the Cave or any of our organizations. And if any of the conversations we have here bring up anything, any sort of emotion, please take a break from the screen. You don't have to watch this, yeah? If it's still sitting in that emotion, you feel uncomfortable, reach out to an adult. And if you don't have an adult there with you, or you just don't feel comfortable speaking to that particular adult, there are going to be some support lines that have just popped up on the screen. They are professionals on the other end that can be there for you and not just lend you an ear, but steer you in the right direction for the help that you deserve, okay? So just to put it in dot points, jump in, share your thoughts, ask question, what do you know, but none of your personal stories. Now, it isn't all just education and conversation. You got a chance to win some prizes here today. All right, this is the last episode, so let me tell you, it is something to get involved in. So you'll see that people keep putting in giveaway in the chat. Now, all you got to do is jump on, do a survey, and just by including yourself in the conversation, you're going to put yourself in the running to win $500. A wow in the studio? Wow. Cash money. Yeah, that's weird. And I'm a fan of it, but $500 to spend anywhere for just including yourself in this important conversation that's going to level you up and your relationships. Now, just because I always want to see what the second chance draw is, you also get an opportunity to win a $50 gift voucher as well at the end of the stream. It's important to note because there will be some complaints. We will give away the $50 at the end of the stream, but the $500 we'll be announcing next week.
Seems dodgy.
Yeah, we just have to do some things. We're going to keep moving on. That is literally what this stream is all about, and I just really appreciate you acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land here, Suze, and the importance of sharing story and really respecting the land that we're on. I just again want to acknowledge, all the people that have come before us and brought this conversation to the forefront so we can be here on stream sharing it and its importance with all of you. That's what we're here to do. How cool is that? All right, I think that's it for all the intro. I think we're ready to go.
Ding dong.
Hell, oh.
Did you hear the ding dong?
I heard it from somewhere.
Chat, can you hear me? Let's just double check the chat can hear me before we continue. Let's get a yeah, we can hear you, Cal.
So just let me just hold just because there's someone in the chat and I want to grab it quickly. It's the last episode of Is This Okay? This is our consent education special stream that's been going for 4 weeks. So you've got to learn about consent, sex, all the conversations surrounding that and how to tackle these conversations in your relationships, but also, with anyone that wants to talk to you about it as well.
So do you know what's about to happen, Jazz?
Kinda, yeah, I do.
It's your favourite segment.
It is.
What is it? Now, chat, it's an opportunity for these fine folk sitting on the couch to be guessing the meaning behind the sorts of props or costumes about to be put in front of them.
So we guess it.
So you're guessing what's about to be put in front of you. What is it?
I feel nervous.
Jack,
Can we close our eyes?
what is it?
You should close your eyes. Close your eyes. Here, close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
May the what please walk in?
I'm so nervous.
My heart is racing.
I know.
Tell us when open.
Can we open our eyes?
Yeah, tell us when.
What is that?
Do we open it? No, you open it. Oh. Okay. Hey,
Oh.
hello.
Oh, I wonder who it is.
Okay.
I think.
Goodness.
So when I was growing up, my mum gave me this teddy bear, and it was to make me feel safe.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Take a seat. Take a seat.
I'm
Take a
taken
seat.
aback.
So chat. I know you must be confused, like anyone else who's tuning in just now. The question is, what does this represent in the realm of consent or sex ed or respectful relationships?
My initial thought was pesto from the Melbourne Aquarium.
Okay.
The penguin.
giant penguin
the giant
baby.
penguin.
But that has nothing to do with
Pesto's
consent,
on my
so I
mind
think I'm
though.
off the
He's
mark.
on my mind.
Yeah.
He's on. Oh.
Oh.
Cool. Shroud Finder's confused
So
in
it's
the
a
chat.
bear. So it's a
Shroud
bear.
Finder is confused in the chat. Suze, any thoughts?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Not sure what's going on.
Yeah. What's up, Andrew? How you doing?
Can we have a clue?
Oh, yeah.
Can we get a clue? Is that how? Does it work like that?
So you can have a clue. Where would you find the bear?
Oh, maybe in the bedroom, on a bed, teddy bear.
So this. Okay. Where would you find a grizzly bear?
In the woods.
In the forest.
The bear in the woods. The
The man
the
versus
TikTok
bear.
thing. Yeah.
Oh.
That is correct. Well done.
We got there. We got there.
Like teddy
Yeah,
bear.
Not
yeah.
pesto.
To the left. To the left, Andrew. No,
That's
yep.
the
The other
Yep.
left.
That way.
Thanks.
Look at the feet.
I know. Terrifying.
Oh,
Wow. I got sweaty.
Okay. Sorry, Phil. I didn't see that you were already tuned into it. Maybe you can add to the conversation that Cass is going to expand on. You said bear in the woods.
Bear
on
in the
TikTok.
woods. Is that TikTok trend that was going around saying that women would rather be trapped in the woods with a bear, like a grizzly bear, than a man? Because the whole idea was that if a woman got attacked by a bear, she's more likely to be believed than if she got attacked by a man. She wouldn't be believed.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it?
Sorry to just drop that. So
No,
heavy.
yeah.
But yeah, it was probably a big thing trending like 6 months ago, I would say. And it just went viral.
I'm trying to remember the video. It wasn't a street reporter, and they were just going around. I think they saw like 10 people in the street, and every single one of them said that they prefer the bear.
Yeah.
Well, and that stems from like lots of articles in the media and just a lot of crimes, unfortunately, predominantly against women, violent and sexual crimes against women that are so heinous and so psychological that people talk about the bear doing less damage or the bear at least having more humanity than some of the things that go on, unfortunately, in the world. That some people are compelled to say they choose the bear because at least that would be over quicker or less psychological damage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a awakening or illuminating thing to find out. I'll be completely honest. When I first heard the headline, I was like, all right, well, that's a stretch. The first thing I thought, like, man versus bear, you'd rather be with a bear? Come on. And I really had that thought. I just didn't relate to it. I'm like, okay, like there's another way we can have this conversation. And then I saw a TikTok. And then I saw the comments. And then I was like, oh, I actually get the value of this because I wasn't ready to hear the impact that especially women go through, and that's like speak to that power dynamic. Like when I hear bear in the woods, I'm like, oh yeah, that's novel. But when a woman hears that, it's like, no, that really represents how unsafe I feel.
Totally.
And it's also not that women want to be in the woods with a bear. I think a lot of people misconstrue that and make a meme out of it. People have made a joke out of this, oh, but you would choose the bear, right? But it actually is the most extreme example I think people could get for people to try and understand how extreme they feel. Is that like this example of the bear, me choosing the bear in the woods versus this man, is supposed to make you get the fact that this is so serious, it's so damaging. Yeah, but people take it so literally. Yeah.
No, and I think the conversation around consent and being believed and sexual violence is a really big conversation, but it can feel really scary. And I think what's really good about all of us being here is that like it's a important conversation. Yes, it might be scary for some people, but it's a very simple thing to talk about when we're talking about consent and respect. And so I think it's great that we can come together and acknowledge that yes, like these things exist in the world, but when we're talking about human to human, respect is a really, really simple thing to talk about. And this conversation doesn't have to be scary, and today's not going to be a scary conversation at all. Yeah, I just thought that was important.
Again, it's grabbing different perspectives and allowing it to be an illuminating one, rather than going, oh, why would a woman choose a bear? Why would a woman choose a bear? And allow that to be the thread that we follow. And Red Knight's jumping in here saying, like, oh, I'd choose a man, but I'm a guy, so it's different. And I think that's just it. It's like, oh, whoa, I don't know what it feels like to be so afraid or to have had that experience and to be someone that would choose a bear. And it's just, again, a moment to actually, bring this into our other conversations with women in our life and asking that question, like, why would you choose a bear? And how can that make me understand how I can treat the women in my life with more respect and care, knowing that that's a fear that they hold.
But also speaking to the men in your life to be able to have that conversation to say, okay, this is how people are feeling. How can we make sure that we do have these conversations around consent and around respect and make that normalized and comfortable so that this isn't a conversation?
It's so crazy you said that because Phil just jumped in saying, like, I don't know, I'm just listening. And massive invitation in the chat, like if you're tuning in and you can't relate to the conversation, listen, take it in from what we're saying, but also what people are sharing in the chat as well. Awesome.
Well said, team. Remember, there is points for best on ground, and I'm awarding Cass with some points.
I totally forgot that was a thing.
Who knows, you might win the trophy.
Get a girl.
Can you explain it?
So best on ground.
Oh, so we're doing that again?
Yes.
Okay.
We've done it every episode.
Yeah, just making
You've
sure.
been in
I've
all of them.
lost a couple of
It's
times.
just you probably weren't aware because you weren't really getting any points.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
I'm the one.
Great.
Yeah,
Cal's
just
one
so
of my
you're
best
aware.
friends, by the way.
Oh, so much power over here. Are you ready for some anonymous questions, friends?
Yeah, I do just want to quickly read out. There was two that just come up.
Yeah, I think you got it, Jack.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Peach just threw in I kind of feel it's situational because there are men that feel comfortable, that I feel comfortable around. Then there's men that I actually would genuinely choose the bear over. 100%. And I, actually speaking a bit personally, there'd be times where I wouldn't choose certain men.
Huge. Bo's coming in, I think, to bring some levity into the chat, some laughter. Bo goes, I would rather be in the woods with a man because I know a man's weakness.
Sausage roll.
That's what I was saying. I know, that's what I was saying.
Kicking the
Great to have you in the chat, Bo. Great to have you in the chat. Talk to us, Cal.
Thanks for that, Bo. All right, we've got the first anonymous question coming in. I feel pressured to change my boundaries. How do I know if they are too strict or loose?
So just quickly, just to update the chat as well, anonymous questions, what are they, just if they're coming in?
So
for the
chat,
first
these are
time?
questions from you. So if we can put the link in the chat, we'll have a link and you can ask these questions. If you don't feel comfortable asking an adult or one of your peers, you're welcome to throw that question in there and we can answer it here for you on stream. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, there's a chance we might be able to answer in the future streams, but just know we won't be able to answer all. So for that question again is, I feel pressured to change my boundaries. How do I know if they are too strict or loose?
I would say when looking at boundaries, like your boundaries are exactly that, they're yours. So only you can really know if your boundaries, you know, if you feel comfortable doing something, if you don't feel comfortable doing something, and staying true to that is going to be really important. Something that I like reflect on with this kind of question is that kind of dynamic sometimes in when we look into maybe queer relationships of one person who's in a relationship who is maybe out and has shared their identity with others, and another partner who isn't out or who doesn't feel quite comfortable kind of sharing who they are just yet. And that maybe that kind of imbalance of wanting to, you know, one person in that couple wanting to hold hands when they're out in public. And there's that good intention of doing it, but it's also understanding that boundary. So I think, again, recognizing what you feel comfortable with and being able to share that. It's important.
I think like your boundaries are your boundaries, and there's no like too strict, too loose. If it's what feels right for you, then that's the right thing to do. I think it can be tricky though when perhaps two people, let's say they're in a relationship and their levels of intimacy are very different, and different acts mean different things to different people. That can be tricky if one person doesn't really see holding hands as a big deal, but to the other person that feels like a really, really big thing. So just talking to your partner, talking to your friends to make sure that, okay, we feel differently. What's something that we can do together that we both really enjoy doing that feels intimate and like we can connect, but that we're both respected as well.
I think boundary setting in general is quite hard sometimes. It's so tricky to navigate between interpersonal relationships, and it doesn't necessarily have to be intimate. It can be in any part of your life, and boundary setting can be hard because it feels hard. It feels hard to assert a boundary, and then especially if it's a new boundary and you've got a relationship with someone who maybe gets to a point where they're taking advantage of you, or it feels like they're taking too much and you feel the need to set a boundary. It can be so tricky. But I think, as both Max and Cass have already said, that your boundaries are yours, and there are no sort of rules to setting your own boundaries. There are definitely resources to sort of find on how to set a boundary, but you just do what you feel is right. Like, you can't, like, there's nothing to say that a boundary is too strict.
You and I were talking about it before the show, like particularly on PDA and holding hands. I know for me, I was a bit of a nervous sort of teenager guy, but sometimes I'd want to hold hands, and then sometimes I wouldn't because I've got somewhere to walk and I want to use my hand, you know, or maybe I've got a sweaty hand and I actually don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that was really, but I'm saying no to holding her hand. Oh, but she wants me to. I feel pressured. Nah, I actually don't want to hold your hand at the moment. My hand's sweaty. I feel nervous.
Yeah, and Peach is coming in absolutely agreeing with what everyone's saying. Any boundary you set for yourself is never too strict. That's why you're a VIP in here. Peach. I keep saying Peach. I actually said it yesterday as well. I'm like, I don't mean that here, but sort of wrong way to you, Peach. But both bringing in something really great, and I think it's speaking to what you said there, Suze, and that's about, like, you know, different boundaries for different people. Like his boundaries with some people are very loose, and this reminds me of like banter with mates. Like some of my mates, I can really go there and say things.
But some people, you don't really know me like that.
100%.
100%.
100%. And so maybe a question is, like we say, like, you know, it's your boundary, set it, but what does it look like to actually set a boundary with someone? Not even just in the bedroom or in a consent sort of way, but like if somebody's crossing a boundary, how do we have that conversation in a way that feels safe for us to have? What does that look like?
You've got to be prepared to use this thing and talk. And I know one of the hardest things I had was actually using my voice and practicing saying no. Not in like that, no, I don't want to do my homework. Of course I don't want to do my homework, but like, no, I don't want to hold your hand, man. Maybe later on. And if I'm actually talking about that bedroom context, if I'm going into that bedroom and I'm not able to have a conversation with that person honestly and truthfully, then why am I going in there? I need to have that security of I can talk to this person and they can hear me and respect me. Because if they respect me, I can respect them.
Yeah, definitely on that. I'm definitely a hint dropper. I drop more hints than I actually just say straight out what I want or need. Like, and to me, I think I'm dropping a hint clear enough. Like, pick it up. Like, I'm throwing it to you. But sometimes it actually just takes you being direct. which sometimes can be received not the best way. So it's kind of like finding that sort of teetering, that balancing on the edge. But yeah, just advocating for yourself and really trying to work towards that, and practicing saying no is huge, because in my experience, I will say yes to everything and want to do things for everybody else, even when I don't really want to do those things myself. And yeah, I just think like even in everyday life, just practicing saying no to smaller things that don't really matter will help build you up to more firm, more serious boundary setting, I think.
Yeah,
Huge.
agree.
Everyone's going off in the chat, both saying, like, sit down with them and let them know where your line is. And, like, it's in the wording as well, like a boundary, you're crossing my line, and they might not know where that is.
Yeah.
And also saying, like, behind this line, I feel safe, I feel comfortable. So really using the word to your advantage. And everyone else is, just echoing all the sentiments. Have the chat, say no, and build it up from, small situations to those bigger, more vulnerable situations as well.
And I think just adding, when you mentioned that sometimes you might be worried how someone's going to take it when you do share your boundaries, it's like almost looking to set up that conversation to say why you're bringing this to the table. It's like, hey, I just want to make sure that when we're with each other, we're really, in that space where we feel comfortable. So I'm not raising this because I'm angry. I'm not raising this because you're doing the wrong thing. Like, I just want for me to feel comfy and for you to feel comfy. And it almost just releases that like tension that can really kind of get built up.
Cal, I think that is the end of that question.
Hey.
Points for everyone, I would say.
Not quite. I'm actually going to award some points to Max
Nice.
for closing us off.
Great.
Thank you, Max. And next question. Who knows? Who knows who's going to get points?
What's the score? That's fine.
It's all in my head. I am scared of getting cancelled at school if I do the wrong things with girls. I don't know what to do. I am scared of getting cancelled at school if I do the wrong things with girls. I don't know what to do.
Valid concern.
And just to say, this question was asked from a boy that was in a focus group, looking at is this okay? And it was something that they were really scared about. How do we want to answer this?
I see it all the time in workshops that I do at schools, and the biggest thing that boys say is, they're scared to even be in relationships with girls because they're worried about like what happens in that relationship coming out. And it's sort of funny because if you're worried about what's coming out, then are you in that respect mindset in the first place? And I sort of feel if you're coming at this particular question with okay, I'm worried about being cancelled at school, am I being respectful? Am I being a good person? Are my morals cool? Sick. Then whatever decision I've got, that's me. If you're a good person, own it. And if you're a bad person, let's have a bit of a rethink. Because sometimes people make accidents, and it's about make mistakes, and people are having that opportunity in their life to level up and learn.
Such a valid question, though. I think we hear it a lot in the work that we do. Young people being scared of getting it wrong or like doing the wrong thing, and consent can feel like this really big, like, oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to ask for consent, that kind of thing. At the core of consent, though, is just caring about the other person and making sure that they feel comfortable and they feel seen and they feel safe. And if we're asking the question, hey, are you okay? Are you still wanting to be doing this? Are you feeling all good? Like, are you sure? Asking. You can't really get it wrong if you're genuinely caring about the other person. But it's such a valid fear.
So what I'm hearing in that is, okay, if you're asking that question and you're coming at it with respect, you're already doing the right thing. But also, consent's there for you to stop that from happening. It's a tool that will not create a situation, forget about cancelling, but actually hurting somebody and getting them in a position that they feel uncomfortable. Like, that's why you need consent. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. And I think if we're thinking directly about this question, like not knowing how to, knowing how to flirt with someone or ask someone out. I don't remember what the wording was.
The question is, like, I'm scared to be, like, to approach women or to be with a girl because I don't want to get cancelled or...
Yeah. I think we were talking about this last week on the stream, actually, is just kind of maybe just ask them. Like, if there's someone in particular that you like and, I don't know, you want to ask them on a date, like, hey, I'd love to go on a date with you. What would you like to do? And just ask them what they want. And you can never get that wrong if you're just caring about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo, you're killing it here. I don't know if it's the whole new lifeguard thing, but you're really jumping in and killing it in the chat. Bo says it's very hard, but it's about how they feel and what they want. Like, simple. How are you feeling? What do you want? How can I be there for you?
Yeah.
Using consent as a tool to ensure you're safe and that we're in something that's respectful and mutual.
And like reiterating, coming back to as well, that like worried about being cancelled in this scenario is, I think, the wrong thing to be worried about. If you're entering these relationships, especially around consent, having your main concern be that you're intending to be respectful is like the ultimate concern. And if you're entering these situations intentionally respectful and you're trying, I think that's like a pretty good way to avoid that.
Absolutely. Awesome.
And the points go to Susie.
Nice.
And Jack. And that's it. Next question.
Nice.
There's
I just want to say, chat, when we pause, it's because Cal presses the mic and then he like pauses before he speaks. So we all just like wait in suspense to whether or not he's going to finally
What is it
award me
called? The
points or
millennial
not.
pause?
That's
next season. There'll be a cow cam. Don't worry.
Talk to us, Cal.
Yeah. There's an idiot in class who always makes flirty comments. How do I get them to shut up without causing drama?
I'm just picturing this happening. That's why I'm silent.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think there's a few ways, again, I don't know exactly the context. I think there's a few ways someone could go about this. My first thought could be that it might just be talking to them after class if you don't want to do it in front of everyone. And you might take a friend with you so you don't have to do it alone. There's also merit in like calling it out and be like, hey, like that's not okay or makes me really uncomfortable. But I think also if it's happening at school, there's probably teachers around. You could probably find, it's important to find like a trusted adult that you can talk to and say, hey, this is happening in this class. It's making me really uncomfortable, because school is a safe space and teachers are there to support you. So I'd lean on them.
Yeah, I think my instant reaction to imagining a scenario like that is two things. Is one, if you're in the scenario and can manage to advocate for yourself, saying in a clear, loud voice, stop it, I don't like that, where people can hear, leads into the next part is like bystanders to circumstances like this, is that if you're aware of situations like this occurring, don't be a bystander, support your friend, advocate for your friend if they are a victim in that situation and are not feeling so comfortable to do it themselves. But I think it's important to try and use your voice, say it in a loud, clear voice, where maybe a teacher can hear or other people can hear. It sort of puts that like accountability back on the person who's mucking around and making you a bit uncomfortable.
And if you've got that kind of like weird feeling in your gut and you don't want to talk to them in the middle of class, maybe after the class, or maybe actually talking to the teacher or something like that. Cave Wickham, all right.
Cave Wickham said just that, and also Red Knight is saying that people in his school would just say shut up or ignore them. I think where this gets really difficult is when they're a friend of yours or they're someone that you know, and it actually happened to me quite recently. It was a bit of banter and whatnot, and the banter was getting pretty inappropriate. And as much as I sit here and talk about having honest conversations, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to make them feel bad. I know it's just a joke. I know it's just a joke. I'm also somewhat partaking in the joke because it makes it feel less intense. And then now I'm, as you said, fawning prior off camera, where I'm like, oh, I'll just go along with it. And then it's just this big thing that is in my head and whatnot. And it comes to that point where it's stopping me from even being present with them. And in this scenario, him, he was a really good mate of mine. And it's hard, it's not easy, it's awkward, especially when I see the best in someone. And just to like draw it into what happened, it took me a while. I had to calm myself down. I had to go, cool, is this a conversation for me to have here? If not, maybe I send him a text message so there can be some space for me in that moment, a voice note. I chose to have it up front and I said, hey, me and you, we talk a lot of shit, yeah? But recently I've noticed that the way we've been speaking about these topics, I felt a bit weird and I felt uncomfortable. and really using I, not you made me feel uncomfortable, because that can get into violent communication where he might take it the wrong way and cause drama and all these things. It's not wrong to say that. And he immediately took ownership. So I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. And I'm saying, look, I don't think you meant anything wrong by it. I'm just letting you know it didn't feel right. And the cool thing that happens in that moment is that I'm taking full responsibility for my emotions, and I'm giving my friend the opportunity to come closer to me or step further away. And then I have to make the choice if they step further away and go, nah, bro, it's just a joke. I'm like, well, is that the sort of friend that I want?
Yeah.
That we, can't be honest and real and set boundaries to feel safe?
Yeah.
So yeah, just if you're out there and it's your friend, it's friggin' hard. 32-year-old Jara is with you on that one. And yeah, just take some time, some space, maybe send a text or let them know that it's not about them being wrong, it's about you not feeling right.
Yeah.
I like that.
And sometimes and I invite the four of you, shut your eyes for 2 seconds. Just imagine the school classroom you used to sit in high school. Do you think half the kids that were mucking around knew what they were saying, what they were doing? Maybe people don't even know what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Huge.
And I think particularly in those settings, that role of a friend and a bystander has such power. And even when someone around you is feeling uncomfortable, and it is that check-in, which not only shows that they've kind of got someone, but also it's almost that moment of not necessarily validation, but for them it's like, yeah, that wasn't right, that wasn't okay, and now I can feel maybe a bit more invited to talk about that.
And as a third person or the third party, interjecting and being like, hey, you should stop that, you're being a bit much, is much more of a casual way to have it be brought up.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because sometimes feeling really seriously having to bring something up with someone, how am I going to do it? How am I going to approach it so it's not too serious and that they feel hurt, and it's just this back and forth, and then you get in your head and you don't actually say anything, you just shut up and move on, so it's easier for everyone. But being having a bystander just be like, are you sure you want to talk like that? Or are you sure you want to behave like that? That was a bit strange.
Such a good point.
Yeah, so and I think that everyone can play that role, especially if you're not directly involved, being aware and making sure that you're not that bystander for someone else.
100%. And then weirdly enough, not weirdly, it comes back into consent. If I'm the person making the jokes and the person I'm saying them to, it isn't landing, they're not responding, they're getting a bit more quiet. It's they're cues, they're physical cues that it's not landing. So a good opportunity to practice consent, not even in the bedroom or with a partner, but in your relationships when you're just talking shit. Are they consenting to your language,
Yeah.
And also, Bo's coming in with an awesome point. Jarrett, you ain't in your 30s, ain't no way you look really young. And I think that's really clear.
I don't know, can we start a poll?
Hey, can we start the microphone issues again?
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Cal, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Jara. And the points go to Jara. Can you actually just remind chat of how they can win prizes?
Absolutely. So just by filling out the survey, you're going to put yourself in the draw to win $500 that you can spend basically anywhere. And then just by including yourself in the stream, you're going to put yourself in the draw to win a $50 giveaway that we're going to spin the wheel at the end of the stream. And if you're just tuning in now, we are the Man Cave, a preventive mental health organisation that equips the next generation to better themselves, to better their mental health and deeply connect to one another and allow them to be who they want to be in community. And this is our Is This Okay stream where we're teaming up with -18, Elephant Ed, AIM, and of course, Jack, who's also from the Cave, to have the conversations that I personally didn't get to have growing up about consent, relationships, and of course, sex as well.
Well said, Jazz. And the points go to...
Thanks, Cal. Thank you.
I'll give you half a point. I felt mean. You get half a point.
Half a point. I'll take that. People in the chat saying, let's go, awesome, me. Are we ready for the next anonymous question? Or are we moving
Oh, do you hear that? Do you hear the doorbell?